Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having an amazing day so far. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 money mistakes I've made in my 20s. I have a feeling this video might be a long one, so if you want to pause this video, run and get yourself a cup of tea or a snack, that might be a good idea. If you're new to my channel, my name is Christina and I make videos here on YouTube all about saving money and making money. So if you're interested in topics like that, make sure to hit the red subscribe button so that you can join our YouTube family. Just a very quick little disclaimer before we hop into this video. I know the title of this video is called Money Mistakes I've Made in My 20s, but I just want to make it clear that mistakes aren't all bad and we all have to make mistakes in life. That's how we learn and that's how we know to do better and what to change. So even though these are mistakes, I'm glad that I made some of these mistakes because they've led me to where I am today. So the very first money mistake that I've made in my 20s was not keeping up with the maintenance on my first car. It was an older car, it still had lots of life left in it, and I would do some general maintenance things like get the oil changed and get the tires changed over, but I wouldn't do a lot of extra stuff. So if you know anything about Mazdas, they are very prone to rust, and when I bought the car, it had a couple of little rust spots on it that really I should have gotten taken care of right away, but I didn't. Because I was a university student, I didn't have much money to play around with, so I only fixed the bare minimum on the car, and as time went on, the car got more and more rusty, and just a few years later, when I took the car into the shop to get my tires changed over, they actually called me and said the entire body of the car is rusted. So unless you spend around $3,000 to $4,000 to fix the body of this car, you won't be able to drive it and it won't pass inspection. So if I had just paid a little bit of money to fix the initial rust spots when I first got the car, I probably would have had that car for a lot longer. So moral of the story, when something goes wrong on your car or in your house, apartment, whatever it is, fix it right away so that you can avoid bigger problems in the future. The next money mistake that I've made in my 20s has to do with my jewelry business, Pretty Cozy Jewelry. So most of you guys know that I have an Etsy shop and I sell jewelry through there. And when I was first setting up this business and deciding what type of jewelry I wanted to sell, I thought I wanted to sell polymer clay jewelry. I really liked the look of this jewelry initially and I wanted to try and make it and sell it myself. So what I did before I was 100% sure that this is what I wanted my business to be was I went out and I bought a whole bunch of supplies to help me make polymer clay earrings. Now this was a mistake because unless you're 100% sure on your business idea and you know you're gonna stick with it, you should spend the least amount of money possible just until you get your footing and decide if this is really what you want to do. So basically I invested a bunch of money into all of this polymer clay jewelry supplies and I never ended up selling polymer clay jewelry. What I realized about myself while I was working with the clay is that I am a very big perfectionist. I would get so annoyed when there would be a tiny little fingerprint or there would be a bubble in the clay. I would get frustrated and I would scrap the whole thing. And I was thinking to myself, my goodness, Christina, it is going to take you 5 hours to make one pair of earrings. So I decided that this probably wasn't a good business model or business idea for me. So I scrapped that. I knew I still wanted to make jewelry. So I decided to take my jewelry business in another direction and create the jewelry that you now see on my Etsy shop. When I was preparing to film this video, I asked myself, what's the biggest money mistake that you've made in your 20s? And I thought about this next mistake. This one really breaks my heart. So in 2015, I signed up for a gym membership. If you know anything about me, I hate working out. I am a very unathletic person, and I thought maybe signing up for a yearly gym membership would help me get into being athletic and to be healthier and all of that stuff. What actually happened was I spent $600, I believe, to go to the gym 3 times. You guys, I spent $600 to go to the gym 3 times in that year. I was so upset with myself, and you would think that paying all of that money would encourage me to go to the gym, but it really didn't. I didn't want to leave my house and go to a location just to work out. I also didn't really like the environment. Like, I don't want people to watch me work out. I didn't really know how to use the equipment, and I was too shy to ask anybody. So it was just not a good situation, and I spent way too much money on that gym membership. I was never so happy to cancel something as I was when I was finally able to cancel that membership. The next money mistake that I've made in my 20s was almost a mistake, but I managed to get out of it just in the nick of time. So if you guys remember on my channel, around this time last year, actually, I was in the process of buying a second vehicle. So our first vehicle had completely bit the dust, that Mazda that I was talking about that was totally rusted out. So that Mazda was broken, we couldn't use it anymore, and then we decided to buy another car because obviously we needed a form of transportation. When we got got the new car, Aaron and I were still figuring out our work situations and if one of us was going to be able to drive the other one to work, or if we were going to have to take public transit, or what we were going to do. We decided that we really needed two cars for our work schedule and just the nature of our jobs. Both of our jobs require us to travel to different locations, so we really needed those two vehicles. So what we did was we went to another car dealership and we got the process rolling to purchase a second car. We had actually signed a couple papers and even put a down payment on the car, and then I called my insurance company and they told me that my already high insurance was going to double. So we were paying $325 a month, I believe, for car insurance, and they said we would have to pay another $300 a month to get this second car. At that point, I just realized it's not even possible for us to get a second car. We can't factor that into our budget while also paying off debt and all of the other things that we have to do to live, like pay rent. So this put us in a really sticky and unpleasant situation. I had to call the car dealership and back out of our purchase. It was so embarrassing. I had to explain that we just cannot afford this car right now, even though we thought we were going to be able to. They tried everything under the sun to get us to stay and go through with the purchase. They said, what about if we gave you more payments or we extended the payment plan? And I was like, unless you can drop our insurance for us, there is no way we're going to be able to afford this car. So they were actually really good about it in the end, and they even gave us our deposit back, which was awesome. But yeah, that was another money mistake that we almost made. Thank God we got out of it. And if you guys are wondering whatever happened with that car situation, my parents were nice enough to purchase a very cheap secondhand car for me to drive. Once we don't need that car anymore, we'll give it back to them, or we'll sell it and we'll give them the money. We'll pay them back somehow, but I was very, very happy and grateful that they were able to do that for me so that I could get to my full-time job. So when I first entered my 20s and I was in my first few years of university, there were a lot of parties, there was a lot of going downtown and seeing people, going out for drinks, and because of this, I had the mindset that I always needed something new to wear, which meant I consumed a lot of fast fashion, and that is definitely a money mistake that I made. So pretty much every weekend I would go to the mall, buy a really cheap $10 shirt. It might last me one or two wears, and then there would be a hole in it or a button would fall off, and this makes me so sad to look back on because I contributed to so much waste and I basically threw money in the garbage by purchasing clothes that only lasted me one or two wears. You guys know that now I do all of my shopping at thrift stores. I buy all of my clothes secondhand. I actually got this shirt a couple months ago. I think I paid like $5 for it, and brand new it would have probably been $30. So I've saved so much money just by going thrift shopping, and if you don't thrift shop for your clothes yet, I highly recommend you try it out. The next money mistake that I want to share with you guys actually happened just a couple months ago. So me and Aaron both pay into a private health and dental insurance. This works best for us just in terms of coverage and price and all of that stuff. So we originally signed up for our insurance in September, and because of the way insurance works, there was a waiting period that we had to wait until they would actually cover anything. Now, don't get me started on that. It's a pet peeve of mine that I had to pay in for so long and I wasn't getting any coverage. I thought the waiting period was over and we scheduled Aaron to go in for a dentist appointment. It was just a standard cleaning. He put it through insurance, or so we thought, and everything was good. A couple days later, I got a call from the dentist office saying, hey Christina, there's a bill here for you and Aaron for $250. The waiting period wasn't up on your insurance, so it's not gonna cover it and you have to pay the $250. I was so mad because I was like, oh my gosh, we've been paying into insurance for months now. We've probably paid around $600 to our insurance company, and now they're saying they're not gonna cover the dentist bill. There was only 1 month left on our waiting period, so if we had just waited an extra month, they would have covered that dentist appointment. So the lesson learned here is always make sure you check the waiting period and the fine print on your insurance policies before you make any appointments. Another money mistake that I've made in my 20s was spending too much money on things like perfumes, lotions, lipsticks, hand creams, things that I would buy and then never finish. They would expire and I would just have to throw them out. So this mistake is very similar to the fast fashion mistake. I was consuming way more than I could physically use and I ended up wasting a lot of money. And I don't mean to rip on Bath & Body Works because I love their candles and I still purchase their candles all the time, but I spent so much money on Bath & Body Works and a lot of this money was wasted. I would always go into the store and do the buy 3 get 3 sale. I would spend $25 and have all of this lotion that I couldn't even use. I would also buy a lot of their body sprays. I would never get through them, I'd get tired of them, and then just throw them out. Whatever it is about Bath & Body Works, that store can easily suck a lot of money out of your wallet. So now if I want to buy a lotion or a perfume, I'll buy one at a time, I'll use it before I buy another one. The next money mistake that I've made in my 20s was not saving for retirement earlier. And I use the word mistake very loosely because I'm still 26, I'm still very young, and I have a lot of time to save up for retirement. But I always hear these stories about people who started saving up for retirement when they were 17 and 18, and they're gonna be able to retire a lot earlier than me with a lot more money than I will because of something called compound interest. So the longer that you're saving up in an account that invests your money like a retirement account, the more return you're gonna get on that money and the more you're gonna get back in interest. This means when you're ready to retire, you're gonna have more money than somebody who invested later in their life. So I think back to when I was 16 years old and I was working 20 hours a week at a grocery store. I had no bills, no rent to pay, nothing, and I easily could have been putting money towards my retirement. Instead, I was spending money on fast fashion and body lotions, like I said. But that's all you can do, you know, you make mistakes, and when you're young, you don't think about things like retirement. So as long as you learn from those mistakes, that's all you can really ask for. Another money mistake that I want to talk about is one that happened when I had my old business, Christina's Cake Shop. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that I used to have a cupcake business where I would sell cupcakes at markets and craft fairs, and for whatever reason, I could not get my pricing right. I always wanted to use good, high quality ingredients for my baking, and I wanted to spend a lot of time on my baking. Of course, I wanted things to taste good and I wanted them to look beautiful for my customers. So I found that I was never able to make enough money because I was spending a lot of money on ingredients and I was taking a lot of time to bake. So what I was making back in that business really just wasn't worth it. I was taking so much time to make something that I was just getting pennies back in return. For the few years that I had that cake business, I was mostly just breaking even. Even so, I don't regret having that business because I found it so much fun and it taught me a lot that I could take into my new business ventures. So the last money mistake that I want to talk about in this video is when I signed up for a life coaching course in February of last year. Nothing against life coaching or life coaching courses, I think they're awesome, but after I signed up and started paying quite a bit of money, I realized that it wasn't for me and it wasn't the business that I wanted to go through with. This is kind of like the mistake that I mentioned at the beginning when I invested a bunch of money in polymer clay supplies and then I realized I didn't want to go through with it. But how I think about business and making money and side hustles is that you kind of do have to try a couple things to realize what you actually love and what you do want to go through with. It does require a little bit of trial and error. You're not just going to wake up one day and know exactly what you want to do without trying something out. Unfortunately, sometimes you do have to spend a little bit of money, a little bit or a lot of money to try out some things. So to be completely transparent with you guys, I spent a few $1,000s on this life coaching course that I never ended up finishing. Now I could be really hard on myself and say, holy crap, Christina, you totally wasted a couple $1,000s. How could you do that? But instead I say to myself, you know what? Yes, you spent a couple $1,000s, but it led you into the direction that you're supposed to go. I know what kind of content I want to share on YouTube. I love personal finance. I love talking about money with you guys. I love my new business, Pretty Cozy Jewelry, and both have been very profitable for me. So I've made back the money that I spent and I was able to choose what I really wanted to do online. And there you have it. Those are 10 money mistakes that I have made in my 20s. Make sure to leave me a comment down below if you feel comfortable and let me know a money mistake that you've made in your life. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up so that I know and I can make more videos like this one for you. Also, don't forget to hit the red subscribe button if you're new so that you can join our YouTube family. Down below in the description box, I'll have some other videos that you might like, my Etsy shop, my Instagram page, all of that stuff, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!